Hello Airsoft friends, and welcome to this video where I'm very sad to say, but I think that there's probably a good chance that Novritsch isn't making like airsoft guns for you. And that may sound a little bit odd and it may sound a little bit strange, but one of the things that I've kind of seen a lot of online is people kind of like either complaining or moaning about the prices, saying that they're just kind of like upgraded basic sniper rifles or you know, cheapo sniper rifles with a couple of little different bits of change parts. And it kind of got me thinking about the bigger picture, and I've ultimately come to the conclusion that he's probably just not making rifles for you, which makes complete sense. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm talking to the people out there who are seeing like the SSG-10 at €299, the SSG-96 for 350, and I think the SSG-24 is still priced around that mark if memory serves. And ultimately, you know, I agree that there's probably a good chance that you and a lot of people out there would be able to buy a super cheap sniper rifle like my Well MBO3A, which is the cheapo VSR version. Get one of those, and by putting a little bit of money, time, and clever like airsoft teching into it, would be able to create a rifle that would perform similarly to, or on par, or even better than some of the Novritsch rifles out there. You know, I mean, the Well MBO3A, as you know, I'm a very big fan of. I'm a huge advocate for that rifle. For £54, it performs amazingly well, and for anybody who wants to, you know, have a little go into getting into sniping, I would 100% recommend that rifle as a first rifle, and then kind of like go up the chain from there. The thing is, though, with that being said, with that cheapo rifle, if I wanted to, you know, I could put a new barrel in it, I could put a new trigger system in it, which it would need, a new piston, a new spring, all of that stuff to you know, bring up its performance. So I'm essentially only using the shell. But the big factor in this, and the kind of the big divide between people who, you know, appreciate and like what Novritsch is doing versus the people that say he's just overcharging for a cheapo gun with some upgrades, is that the majority of airsofters out there don't have the knowledge to upgrade a rifle. You know, they don't have the experience or the time to work out and finesse every single little upgrade, knowing which hop rubber to get, knowing which barrel to get, which spring manufacturer to get from, which piston head, which trigger unit, all of these different things, which ultimately culminate together in making an amazing sniper rifle. Even the aesthetics is an area which will, you know, require expertise to know what materials to get your, you know, upgraded outers on, you know, which rails you should get. I mean, even just getting a upgraded Picatinny rail or one outside of the stock to give you, you know, more real estate for mounting your scope and other, you know, rail accessories. That's something which will come into play as well. And yeah, the sheer fact of the matter is, if somebody's new coming into airsoft and they want to pick up a performance sniper rifle for a, you know, not a lot of money, or, you know, somebody like me who's already got a performance sniper rifle, they just want to have something where they don't have to do anything to it. It can go in the bag as a backup, and like, you know, if for whatever reason, you know, the upgrades that you've done or the teching that you've done on your main rifle on the day let you down, or a part breaks, or, you know, if you just feel like you want to have a change, then you've already got a pre-built performance sniper rifle for, you know, a fraction of the cost of what you've already put into your main rifle. Like my original VSR, it was a JG Bar 10. I think I ended up paying about 120 quid for it. It was the G-Spec version, and I ended up putting quite a lot of money into that thing. The only thing original that was left over in that by the time I'd finished with it was the trigger guard, the stock, the outer barrel, and the Picatinny rail. Everything else had been upgraded. So essentially, I paid £120 for a stock, an outer barrel, oh, and the upper receiver as well. So 120 odd quid for a stock, an upper receiver, and a outer barrel. Is that a bargain? I'm not really too sure. I'd imagine that, you know, for a rifle of that build quality, arguably, even though I really enjoyed the JG Bar 10, and I didn't have any issues with any of the actual parts of the JG Bar 10 itself, I had issues with the expensive-y upgradey parts, which seemed to break on me. And it's not because I fitted it incorrectly. Shop, you know who you are. No, it's not because of that. It's because the part just broke and I didn't get the service that I should have done. But that's a story for another time. I'm not too sure if that is a bargain or not. I haven't really looked online to see how much I can get the stocks and whatnot for, or like an upper receiver and an outer barrel. But I kind of feel like if you're looking to get a VSR, then generally speaking, you're probably in the 80% of people. Well, I don't know what even the percentage would be. If you're surrounded by groups all day of people who upgrade their sniper rifles, the balance is going to be swayed. But I'd imagine it's probably going to be a lot less than that. But anyway, if you want to get a VSR and upgrade it, you're essentially putting in that initial investment into the stock, the upper receiver, and the outer barrel. I think that's pretty safe to say. Like, they're the only parts that are generally going to be left over after you finish doing everything else. You're throwing the barrel away, you're throwing the hot probber away, you're going to be getting that Action Army pop unit that everybody does, along with the TDC for it too. The upper rail is probably going to stay the same, just because with the cheapo rifles anyway, you don't get the cutout slit, so you don't need to worry about, you know, where you can put your scope on it as well. The trigger unit's going to be swapping out because you're going to be putting a higher power spring in there, and you're going to be changing the piston out to in the piston head. You're going to be changing out the cylinder. You're going to be changing the cylinder head as well, and generally speaking, you'll use the cylinder head that comes with the hop unit. You're more than likely going to get a heavy bolt or a larger enlarged bolt for your cylinder anyway. And yeah, that's pretty much like everything. Of course, apart from the stock receiver and outer barrel. And I imagine some of you out there may also get an upgraded receiver, so then, you know, you get it in the same brand, so it all like fits in, it's all the same size and everything like that. But ultimately, when you're buying a VSR to upgrade it, your initial investment is purely for the stock, the outer barrel, and the upper receiver. And you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. A stock isn't ultimately gonna impede performance. Generally speaking, you know, it's the outer barrel connecting to that, and the upper receiver where everything hopefully will be nice and slidey and tight and give you, you know, accurate putting ins of parts and insertions of things to make sure you've got a good air seal and you're consistent with how much air is going into your barrel to give you the shot that you need. But in the grand scheme of things, it's only a very small amount of people that have that interest or know what they're doing there or will be able to do that for a small amount of money. For that reason, that's why I kind of like coming back to the start of saying that Novritsch is probably just not making rifles for you. You know, if you're the kind of person who loves to get a super cheap rifle or M4 or pistol or whatever, and then make it really, really performant for a super cheap amount of money, then there's no need for you to buy a Novritsch rifle or gun or anything like that. You're sadly just not the target market for what he's doing and what he's trying to achieve. From how I see it, he's just trying to make, you know, being able to get into airsoft sniping as accessible and cost effective for people as possible. I think that's a really good thing because, you know, like I said, my first VSR, it was originally like 120 quid. And then 6 times that cost later, I had a rifle which shot pretty good. But even still, probably out of the box, that one was okay. It cost more than twice as much as my Well VSR knockoff cloney thing. So I'd like to think it would have performed better than that. And I have a whale of a time with my cheeky little Well cheapo sniper rifle. It's not a bad thing, and it's not something that we should be sad about, that they're not necessarily made for us. I guess it's a similar thing as like buying a computer. Like you could buy a super cheapo computer for, you know, a couple of £100, keep the case, keep the motherboard, keep the processor, and put a really big old graphics card in there, and then boom, you've got a super performant PC, play all the top end games, probably, depending on the processor though, and you've saved a load of money because you have that knowledge and you've been able to do it yourself. But not everyone has that knowledge, sadly, and for those people, there are now quite handily options out there for performant rifles out the box that save them a ton of money and time and effort, and I think that's a good thing. That being said, I still haven't managed to get out and play with my SSG-10A1 yet though, purely because I got it. I then did the game day at, where was it, Phoenix, with the SSG-96 because I wanted to use that more than the SSG-10 because that was like the newer, fancier rifle on the block, and then we've been in lockdown pretty much ever since. So it's just sat here, been waiting to get out, so fingers crossed, we can get out and play with it as soon as possible. But yeah, it's looking like it's not going to be until like March now because of lockdown and stuff, which makes me a bit depressed. So we'll see what we can do. There's definitely videos we can do on it until that time, and I think I've got one planned for later this week, which is a doozy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully you'll enjoy that too. And until then, I will see you in the next one. But of course, this is sponsored by Project Airsoft. We've got cool t-shirts like this. Look at that. Boom. Check out the t-shirts. They're great. And yeah, I love you. Call your hits. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.